you an online educator struggling to find your audience? Quasar Markets connects you with learners looking for you. Keep 100% ownership of your courses. No hidden fees. Already have monetized content? Get paid again and again. Apply today. Take control of your educational empire. Quasar Markets, where educators build their legacy.
Good morning, Quasar Markets. BigBeat, how you doing today, my friend?
I'm good. You know, we've been talking about Howard for the last, I don't know, good Lord, how long, that the retail is just not happy and they're not spending as much money. And guess what? Today, they're shocked that retail sales are down 0.9%. I'm not shocked. We've been talking about it, right? I've been supporting McDonald's. Yep. So, I mean, come on. It's not hard. I don't know. What's wrong with people that can't figure it out?
Yeah. I mean, the market's not taking this too bad because I think that they did actually. So I'm going to say that I think the market actually did. I think we're down. I mean, again, war is always, unfortunately what we have to lead with today. That's, the president leaving the G7 summit was a pretty big move. And I'd have to ask you, I mean, that is a big deal, right? I mean, he left without doing any of those trade deals, got nothing sort of coming out of there and, said, hey, I got to get back to the bunker, so to speak.
Yeah, well, he did it last time. It was the G7. He left early, and he did it again. It's really bad when you do that because here's what people always ask me about the presidency. It doesn't matter if you're sleeping or eating. You're still the president of the United States. It does not matter where you live in the world. You are still the president of the United States. You can make decisions anywhere in the world as the president of the United States. You don't have to go back to the Situation Room to make those decisions. Or you can have those conversations while he's in the air. So it's grandstanding in a lot of ways, which I understand. And believe it or not, and I know this is just from me working there many years, I can tell you that 90% of decisions are not made in the White House, by the way. They're made outside of the White House. And during 9/11, the President Bush wasn't even near the White House. In fact, he was asked to stay away from the White House, right? So I don't really understand this look and feel right now. Okay, you need your people around you. Great, you can fly them to anywhere you want. That's why you have a second to airplane. So right now, I don't know. If you're going to make a move, right? He told people yesterday, if you're a citizen of Tehran, get out of Tehran. You don't say that as president of the United States unless you're willing to make a move. So that's why you're seeing the markets down here. I said this yesterday. I'm not liking these markets, right? I don't want to be around these markets on the long side if this really is happening. So be careful out there, folks.
Yeah, absolutely. It's tweet analysis still. Speaking of which, solar stocks getting crushed here today. If I pull up some of the numbers here, sorry. You got Sunrun down about 39%, Enphase down 22%, First Solar down, another 22%. They're going to get rid of the tax cuts or the tax, the rebates. So they're definitely getting hit. I did see cities already come out and said it's a sell on residential solar, that this rate and policy headwinds are too much. The other side of that is what is moving up today a little bit is nuclear, because they did carve out an exemption for nuclear. That's going to go to 2036. So I thought that was kind of interesting. And it shows you, what I liked is, okay, if we're going to cut back on solar, we're going to cut back on that green energy, where are we going to get this energy? We're going back to coal, because I think that's probably a mistake. Nuclear, though, that move of SMRs, I love.
Yeah, we weren't too concerned. I mean, it's obviously, I've been talking about CCJ for a long time, Kamiko. And look, uranium, UROY. I mean, the president loves uranium, right? It just is what it is. He loves nuclear. I don't blame him. I like it too. I think it's good. I think we're going to have smaller power plants for uranium. For P235. But I will say this much. I've heard about it as I was in New York all week, and I can tell you that it was everywhere. It wasn't just one thing or two things. It was everywhere, right? And so I we've been talking forever. I don't know what to say. And here it is, right? This is why I talk about theses and themes. Make sure you have your theme in place, because by the time it happened. Now, in this case, how many members of Congress were loading up on uranium and
nuclear stocks? I'm sure if you watched, a lot of them were.
Yep.
You know, and talking about thesis, I got a thesis that I changed for me today a little bit. Whoa, as I have something moving here. T-Mobile down 5%. SoftBank unloading their stake to fund its AI ambitions. Is it time to follow SoftBank? Is it time to, you know, I'm already in AI names, don't get me wrong, but, you know, is it time to ditch cellular? Is cellular a loser in this next move?
Cellular without satellite abilities is going to be completely gone. Everybody wants to be in touch every minute, every second of the day, anywhere in the world, in any language. That's the way it's going to be. T-Mobile is a carrier that relies on the other carriers. They don't have their own systems. They have to rely on AT&T and Verizon. Most people don't know this, but that's how AT&T and Verizon make up all of their shortfalls. They sell out their lines to other companies, and T-Mobile, and they bundle it. So it's why you get a little bit of a savings. The Magenta company, right? No, I don't. I agree with Masa-san here by dumping their stake in T-Mobile, TMUS. It's good. And I always say when you invest in an area, a sector, always invest in best in show, right? Or best in play and best in field. So AT&T and Verizon had that locked up in spades. So when I look at T-Mobile, I agree with Masa-san. Get rid of it and buy AI. We're not even the first inning of AI. I mean, I think people don't. I remember it feels like a lot like back in the day. You know, you remember this, Howard, like when we were, you know, Microsoft stocks were just coming out. Nobody knew who the hell Microsoft was. I mean, you know, it was like, what Netscape? What's that? Oh, that's cool, right?
Yeah, and for me, it's like Bitcoin in 2011, 2012, when it made the first run to $200, and everybody was like, "Wow!" It's just it's there. No, it's just starting to rev up.
Now we're 105,000. Yeah,
I've got one that I didn't have on my bingo card, but the ECB's Lagarde calls for the global euro moment. Says the euro is ready to be the reserve currency of the globe. I am going to bring this up tomorrow, of course, with Mr. Flanagan. I think he'll have a good laugh at that. They can't even agree. They can't agree on the color of a euro.
So there's a problem when you want to be the reserve currency of the world. Listen, Howard, I'm going to applaud Christine Lagarde. We have been hard on her for a very long time. She stuck to her guns for a very long time, and she was wrong for a very long time. I cannot disagree with her. I have been disagreeing with her for a while, and she's doing what we're saying to do, right? If you want to turn Europe around, these are the things you need to do. These are very basic things, and it works. I mean, the economic levers of the world have to be pulled by the economic leaders. So she's the economic leader. Now, to be a reserve currency, okay, you've got to have energy, and Europe is not an energy provider. They are an energy taker. They have to rely on Russian LNG. They got to, Ukrainian, and Ukraine needs their energy right now. So it's tough to be the reserve currency of the world, but I applaud her lowering rates, spurring. Look at Germany now, turn the corner. Look at it. They're going and growing again. People can borrow money. They can build and become. You want to be a manufacturing country? Well, okay, borrow money, build the plants. There it is. And that's what they're doing. So I applaud Christine Lagarde. And you know what? I'm going to back off and say, you know what? She's doing the right thing. So I'm okay. Is it a global euro moment? I don't know. But
no, well, what I was going to point out is the next one is what she forgets is it trails gold, never mind the US dollar when it comes to global reserves. So try to, before you shoot for the king, take out the prince or the queen, whatever you want to call it.
In order to make that goal, you've got to set that goal. So, again, I applaud her for that. You know what? I don't think Christine Lagarde and Jay Powell are having any conversations anymore. I mean, good for her.
I do like how everybody is coming for the king dollar. We'll have to bring that up with Mr. Flanagan tomorrow because we've seen everybody sort of talk about this is the answer, right? And
they see blood in the water. They see for the first time a president who's not watching the eye on the dollar and it's falling. And you heard yesterday from him saying, Steve Flanagan saying there's a good chance to go to 94, 95, 94.50. What he was saying could be the bottom there.
Yeah.
That would put the world, would put us in jeopardy a little bit.
Yeah. On the other side of that, or the other side of the world, I should say, Bank of Japan held their rates at 0.5%. Again, Mr. Powell, if you're listening, 0.5%. Okay. So it might be time to cut tomorrow. No, he doesn't listen.
He doesn't listen.
But my bigger takeaway is they talked about they're going to slow down their bond buying. So again, they're going to cut that in half, by the way. So, could be more stress to the U.S. Treasury and bond market based upon and they did flag global trade and oil price risk. Inflation is still under its target, though. So, and remember, for them, they're coming the opposite way. They're coming from deflation, so they are looking for it to pick up. Tick has been fairly negative all day. Advanced decline, though, Steve, only negative 687 now. I know it's before the cash open, so we'll get another 2,000 move one way or the other. But that's a little subdued for me.
You do not go to the White House and tell your advisors to get ready, sit in the sit room. For those that's sorry, Washington speak. The Situation Room. The sit room is very important for the president to make those decisions, right? He has access to every bit of news anywhere in the world that he wants. And you don't tell your advisors to go there and not do something, to sit still and let's twiddle our thumbs and watch the world go by. Something's happening. And I just saw a few minutes ago where there's major tankers coming through the Strait of Hormuz, where they're being escorted by fighter jets now. And they're also, we have the USS Nimitz. Look, I always say, if you want to know how bad the world is, look to see where the Fifth Fleet is. It's on its
way there. Yeah. I don't like to get too far into it, but I did see something saying that if they're going to use those bunker busting bombs, they need to borrow our bombers to do it, because they're the only ones that can accept that heavy payload that's needed. So is there something in play? Are they going to transfer a plane over or something else? But that would be bad anyway you look at it. Markets down about 57 basis points on the Qs. The SPY's down 50 basis points. Dow Jones about the same. So far, energy is the only thing opening to the upside. And that seems to be, when I was looking at the gainers here this morning, let me share that here. PCT.
Hold on one second. U.S. May industrial production coming in minus 0.2%. Consensus was minus 0.1%. So industrial production slipping even more here a little bit.
Yeah, that's not good. Another interesting one, Steve, here. Oh, sorry, I took off.
No, you're fine. I'm posting the
PCT surge 300 million raised to scale 1 billion pounds of recycled plastic. So again, something's kind of interesting here is you talk about things coming back to America, the global expansion. They're coming to Augusta, Georgia. And basically this Pure 5 technique they have takes the resin and turns track into treasure. So I love it. And then I've got a second one that, again, I think is when we talk about Made in America. He is getting, this is one that I would have said, no way. KTOS Kratos up nicely here today. They're bringing jet propulsion back to the U.S.
Yeah, Credo Defense is one of my favorite plays. I love the company. I love what they're doing. I love it at $10. At 41, seems to be a little bit pricey in my range. We'll see how they do.
$6 billion company now.
Yes. But Credo Defense has been a very long stalwart when it comes to, especially in wartime. So I do like the company. I do like what they're building. And you should always pull up what they do as a company. But one of the things that they've been talking about, and we just said it a few minutes ago with T-Mobile, is satellite defense. They are building satellite defense for weaponry, and I think that's definitely where we're going.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, we saw that's what the Israel used just last night for the first time I forget the name of it, the Baron Machis or something, which is to fight off drones specifically. So it's interesting, though. They're building a 50,000 square foot up to 100,000 square foot. They're going to build turbojet engines developed with GE Aerospace. So again, America, and they're looking to build 500 engines a year. So up to 5 production lines planned, 60 jobs for the first production line. So you can see automation, right? 60 people are going to build 600 or 500 engines a year. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
So I thought that was exciting. And then, Steve, we've talked about merger and acquisition in the biotech. I don't know if you saw Verve up about 80%. Eli Lilly going to purchase them.
Yeah, I mean, gene editing, gene splicing, all of that fun stuff is happening. It's just coming, so get ready. I don't know Verve as well, but I can tell you right now that gene splicing is the future. You want a kid with blonde hair and blue eyes and purple nose, you'll have whatever you want in the future, right?
I will say it is a Boston-based company that deals with clinical stage biotech. Their focus is on genetic medicine for cardiovascular disease, and their lead asset is their gene therapy targeting PCSK9, which is a gene tied to bad cholesterol, a one-time treatment concept. So
like that a lot.
Big there. They already had some existing collaborations with Lilly, and Verve had already partnered on multiple programs. Deal seen as a natural progression. And more of a takeaway I have also is for those of you looking at, again, what's your thesis from here? Take a look at the other gene companies. Some of them are CRISPR Therapeutics, Intellia, and Beam Therapeutics. So again, if you're starting to say, you know, which one do you have a favorite out of those?
CRISPR by far.
CRISPR, okay. Steve, one you and I kind of missed the boat on, AMD, huh?
Yeah.
Looked like they were sort of falling to the backside when it came to development and all of that. Up about 8.8% yesterday, now another almost 2% today, as they are definitely moving forward. M1 350 chips and Helios AI rack systems unveiled at their Advancing AI. And I put a headline here. Are they gunning for NVIDIA with these full stack offerings?
Sure, of course they are. That's always been one of their biggest in between them and Intel. They took Intel down. But their chipsets are still hot. They run hot. They're harder to keep cool. NVIDIA is a winner because it's able to be in both the smaller. You can have your own burner machines. You can have your own video machines, your own. In this case, if you're doing crypto, you can have your own mining machines. AMD tries to do all of that, but they're just not best in class, right? NVIDIA is best in class. They're going to try to catch up, which is what the stock is trying to catch up. So AMD is probably like playing catch up here. If you look at a weekly chart on AMD, it tells a different story, right? And then yeah, see, it's playing catch up. They're just playing to the 200-day moving average. To be honest with you, they're not back all the way where they were. So. Is there more room to run? Probably. Usually where there's smoke, there's fire. So, yeah, and AMD could be a hot stock. I do like Lisa Su. I think she's great. But I think her cousin's better, right? Jensen Huang. So,
I will say from a technical standpoint, if it breaks this 131, it's got
room to run. Yeah.
Break out. Yeah. For that. And again, one of the bigger things that I took away also was that they didn't announce it, but they rumored a lot about a big partnership with AWS. And we know that, you know, those ambitions.
And AWS has a new chip now for AI as well. So they're just now, releasing that one. It's called Annapurna. So, there's a lot going on. But I thought that AI is dead. That's what I was told. AI is not. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Bitcoin's dead, right? No. It's just they're just starting to get crazy and cranking it up.
Steve, all 7 of the Mag 7 are in the red today. You buying the dip on any of these?
Well, not with gold trying to get over 4,000 again. Look, I'm just waiting on something bad to happen or a bad tweet or something. It's just there's too much right now. I'm sitting with silence now. Obviously, I've been trading, and we've had some really good wins this last week. So, I'm not done trading. I think we'll find something, but I'm not. There's no long term here yet. I talked to Dan Niles last week, and he said, "Look, be prepared for a big sell off sometime in the fall. By Thanksgiving, you could have a good Thanksgiving if you're short, right? If you're long, could be a really long winter. So be careful." And I said, "Well, what if that's the case? Why not short now?" He goes, "Well, because and interestingly, he said it's easier to go to the upside, right? The path of least resistance is to the upside now." So yeah, Dan, I agree with that. So I think he's right.
Wait. So now you're saying the path of least resistance to the upside? Because last week you were on the opposite side. So
no, I personally think the path of least resistance to the downside.
Okay. Okay. That's why I was stopping you, because I said, well, we got to change all our sheets here.
He's saying that to go with the trend, right? Because the trend right now is
well, and I think what way I would look at it is, we talk about it in a bear market, you still have some of the biggest rips. You might not be shorting right now because there could be a 10% play to the upside before a 25% retraction, right? And I'm using Bitcoin numbers there. That's probably not as big as the market would go up for regular stocks. But that's so it's about timing. You can have the right thesis, but if you don't time it correctly, it isn't going to help.
And if everybody's short, some of the biggest upswings are down in the down markets, right? I mean, because the short people are short. All right, we got about what do we got? About 6 minutes here. Look at gold. Look at gold. But how about the big winner?
I have the gold chart up actually right now, Steve.
How about the big winner today? Silver back at $37 an ounce. I've said 43 is where we're going to. We're still going.
So I've got to ask, gold has had every single great thing that makes it move up. To me, what I see is that 34.60, 34.70 is a sell the gold moment personally. That's, I am a crypto guy, so I'll lead with that. But I don't think we're going to hit 4,000.
Central banks don't care what price of gold is. They just want to own gold because they know 100 years from now, gold will be higher, right? But the average trader who like us, who was in silver at 19, is now looking at 37 going, well, I don't care if there is a war, right? And gold, 3,400 when everybody's buying it at like 2,500 not too long ago, a year ago. All of a sudden, they're all happy today. So there are some sellers out there, right? That have.
And I'm seeing your commercials all weekend. It was gold. I saw one more Royal Gold mining company thing on CNBC.
Not hard to know.
I'm changing my thesis because I thought I was with you to the 4,000 mark. I sort of think that 34.50 area starts for me to be short the gold, sort of like when crude just popped up. That's I think it's got everything behind it already. I know the central banks will keep buying, but in general, they've all piled in, as Peter Thomas has told us.
Yeah, I'll tell you the answer if the bombs start dropping. I'll tell you we're going to 4,000.
Well, that's what I want to see. Exactly. Well, that's what I'm saying is if this week didn't get it back up to that 35, and break, then what is? That I guess that's what I'm saying is, if it is that bad over there in the Middle East and the Ukraine isn't moving anywhere and China and Thailand don't seem to be getting along right now and, no one seems to like each other.
The saber rattling is higher than I've seen.
Yeah, so that's why I thought it would be closer to 4 now, quite honestly. Not seeing that burst means to me, I think the institutions are positioned heavily on that side already.
If Trump says, look, the time to back off for Iran they're too late.
Oh yeah, I know
something's happening, Howard. Yes.
Yeah. So, well, we'll see what we get out of that. We are about 4 minutes from the open again. The advanced decline's moving a little bit more negative, but not really. Down about 788 right now. Again, the Qs getting slated to open back down about 531.50. Very similar. I think yesterday was 530.50 was where we opened. So very similar area to where we were yesterday. So it looks like we could start to see a retracement of those gains that we saw across the market yesterday. And VIX is staying elevated. Kind of tells me a little bit too, right? 20.14 there, but nowhere near the levels when we've heard war in the past.
Right. Where are we with Sats? Where are we with EchoStar this morning?
ATST is getting killed today. They are down 2.17% AST.
And
Yeah, so what
yeah.
yesterday's runners are down today. QUBT, for those that were in quantum computing, took the big jump up yesterday, 27%. Having a healthy 5-6% retracement here today. Clean Spark again up about 3.44% yesterday, down about 2.7 here. So, the big losers are definitely the solar stocks. A lot of the other, laggards this morning, quite frankly, were the runners yesterday. All of the crypto Bitcoin mining companies that ran up as Bitcoin made that run to 109 are now down today as Bitcoin's retraced to 105 and change. China names that were all up yesterday, all down today. And the same thing, Carnival, who took up all of the cruise lines, took them all down today a little bit. So that is what we're seeing
Here
here.
report that ICE will start raiding hotels, restaurants again. Musk's XAI is in talks to raise $4.3 billion in equity funding.
Yeah. We are 1 minute from the open here. It is slightly negative, but the Qs are bouncing a little bit up. As I said, all of the Mag 7 are right now slated to open to the downside. And same way, outside of the energy sector, all of the other sectors of the S&P slated to open to the downside. Dixie did regain 98, so the DXY dollar index back above 98 here. It got as low as 97.60 overnight. Here we go. We are open. Advanced decline jumped down about 2,900. So that's our starting point, a negative 2,900. Q's opened up right at about 5. Oh, nice jump off the start. So very similar to the start we saw yesterday. Q's trying to run here 532.50. So moved up from that 531.50. A whole dollar there right on the open. Dow Jones opens up down 39 basis points. SPY down 34. Q's down 34. The rut down 70. So gold trying to push back towards 3,400 here. Bitcoin at 105,700. Qs are still trying to push up towards highs of the day. I'm seeing notes. Israeli military says it completed a wave of attacks in western Iran a short time ago.
All right.
Q's pushing up here. Q's keep pushing up. 532.74.
And I have been buying Tesla this morning here.
Now down 1.18% there on Tesla's 325.50 area.
Yep. Bought a little bit more down here.
Roku having a second good day here, up another 3.44%. Steve, we didn't get to it earlier. Lennar Corp had pretty good earnings, moving up here, now up almost 3%. Overall, they had a Q2 beat, but they did say home prices are dipping. We knew that in general. On revenue, they had about 8.38 billion versus 8.16 billion. They did miss their EPS guidance, came in at 190. They did say in Q3 they do expect to see 22 to 23,000 deliveries, which was right in line with analyst expectations, and they're looking at an 18% margin. They did say demand was steady, but affordability headwinds persist. So Lennar is moving up today on that news. Pretty muted open for Bitcoin here. That's sort of key support, 105, 550 to keep an eye on here. Ethereum holding up better at 25.55. Seeing a little sell-off there along with the other markets. Tick still negative, although advanced decline has actually moved in our favor, now only negative 26.20. DXY pretty much unmoved at 98.18 area. And now it looks like sort of the first burst is being bought back down. 532 on the Qs. Yep. 600 on the SPY. Gold stalled out just below 3,400. Silver just below 37.
Tesla moving to the upside now. Need a little bit more, baby. I will be a happy camper.
And we still see outside of energy, the rest of the components of the S&P, the sectors are all negative right now. SPY is pulling back a little bit here. Tesla back above 326 for you, Steve.
Indeed.
Banks getting hit a little bit here this morning, but fairly flat. Not a huge move there. The pre-market runners, PCT, the plastics company we talked about, just raised money for to increase their production, is continuing to move up, now up 20%. Jabril up 10.09. They had good earnings also. I actually have it.
And
yeah, Jabril had a revenue beat. They had an EPS beat. Net income was $222 million, and the CEO pointed to outperformance in cloud data center, infra, and capital equipment offset EV and 5G softness. So again, 5G negative.
yeah, it's all about satellite, right? I mean, it's what we've been saying.
Tick's negative 400 here, and now we've moved the other way, so we are sliding back down in general here. You do see NVIDIA now in the green, Meta now in the green, and Netflix in the green so far. Bitcoin bounced a little bit back up at 105,670. Ethereum is the one that looks like it wants to squeeze. If it gets above 25.90, watch out. It will squeeze to the upside. It's a pretty big skew of shorts that could liquidate. Gold's still trying to get to that 34. Looks like it wants to make another run at it here. It got above it briefly here a little bit.
Go
ahead.
Got a little greedy on the Tesla. It's trying to pull that, a couple dollars out of it there. See if it gets to it.
The EU plans to new fast-track permitting for defense investments favor weapon deal and its defense industry push. So again, they are trying to pump it up there a little bit. Gold pulling back a little bit. Seeing a little bit more selling across the small caps here again today.
Interestingly, the Bitcoin's holdings just steady there at 105.5.
Yeah, it's got liquidations built up on either side, quite honestly. The break of the 105 area is going to cause it to get a little bit squirrely. Open interest picked up over the overnight.
Right.
And they got a few of them. Ethereum, the same thing. Not seeing much else here going on. See if any of the laggards are recovering here. Not really. All of the solar stocks. No one seems to want to buy that dip so far, Steve.
No. No, solar's done.
I cannot argue with that.
Ticks up 163 here.
There's a little bit of dip buying on T-Mobile happening here. I'm surprised no buy the dip on quantum computing here so far.
Well, this
has rocketed up.
Doesn't seem to be keen on the future, right? It's keen on the past. So, yeah, quantum computing is going to take a little while.
Yeah. Clean spark getting hit here today too.
All right, Bitcoin. Come on, Qs. Here we go.
It doesn't look like any of the major laggards that anyone's really buying the dip. So that's actually, in my opinion, fairly good to see. Bitcoin mining companies, people are buying the dip. That's about it. Yeah. And they're still all down 3-4%.
Yeah. Here we go. Groupon jumping here.
Here goes Tick. Tick starting to move up. Didn't even know they had one. The Iran stock market will remain closed until Sunday. UN Trade and Development projects the AI market to quadruple by 2033. Good morning, Mr. Flanagan. How are you doing, sir? Regenicel up 17.3% here.
ARM Holdings ARM up about 1.8% here. Pretty heavy volume. Not heavy. Not heavy volume.
Yeah, looks like them.
Crude just took off there. I don't know what something's hit the market. Crude just took off.
Qatar Energy has instructed ships to remain outside the Gulf until the day before loading. Otherwise, wait outside the Straits of Hormuz. That's what happened. Yeah. You see a pretty good drop down, almost a half a percentage point on the 10-year and the 30-year here. GXY holding above that 98 handle.
Tesla on the lows of the day as Q's dropping here.
And I'm now up 3.13%. Newsmax up 6.31% here this morning. Bitcoin stuck right at that 105,500 area. Yes, decline still pretty much same spot we opened, so not much going on. Very muted open, to say the least.
Wow, it's Tesla getting hit now.
Nike back under $61 starts to get interesting.
Oil still pushing higher here.
Yeah. About to skyrocket for it to run to 74. I would have to assume it means that Israel's told somebody that they're going to start to target the energy infrastructure.
Yeah, and Bitcoin slipping now.
Is it? Yeah, 105.3 again.
The very thing I warned against this morning, I did the opposite. Unfortunately, I thought that the back off would back off.
Yeah, you said don't buy the dip. I asked you before open.
Yeah. Oil's still flying here now. Back of that news.
I will say Reddit's starting to fly again. That move up 14% here today. This is definitely could be a breakout play. Another move above 145.70.
But the tick's up positive again.
Yeah, trying.
Citibank says they see gold below 3,000 after Q3 here on weak demand and growth optimism.
Look at that. I beat him to it. Here goes Reddit trying right here, 145.07. So Reddit trying to get another breakout here. How high can it go, man? I think it's going to fill the gap to 151 here in any kind of move. Nice move by Reddit. Ticket is going positive. I don't see it showing up anywhere though, really. Qs are bouncing off the lows of the day back to the VWAP. Let's see what happens here. This is sort of the battle. We need to get through this 531.70. Rejected right there, first attempt. John can't break through that VWAP. That's the first thing we need to see on road to recovery here this morning. We'll say VIX has dropped back below the 20. I'm a little surprised by that this morning with all of these sort of hints at war that keep popping up. Mr. Flanagan, if you're still listening, what do you think about the Bank of Japan last night staying at that 0.5? I think you predicted that.
You did,
Here
yeah.
we go, trying to break through the VWAP. Here it goes. This could give us a little bit of a push. Even my tweet deck is just like stagnant. Bank of America 201. I've targeted there. Bank of America comes back down towards this 192 area for a longer term buy. Qs can't break out. Bitcoin right back at that 105.5. That seems to be sort of the magnet right now. Losing a little bit of steam on the Qs. Buy a threat to break back below 600 here.
Tick is dropping here.
Yeah, negative 400 here. SPY just dropped south of the VWAP.
Tick now jumping a little bit, so it's a kind of a strange day here.
It's a chop day. This is all algos finding out, right?
Yeah, it's the algo day.
Like just the algos finding each other and maybe some zero DTEs built in, but I don't know. I think people are wary. I think the retail is quickly getting in and out of trades. VIX just popped a little bit back above 20 here. You could convince me to look. I'm actually going to take a look here at
crude pushing a little bit again.
What the VIX looks like for next week's expiry. Let's see here.
All right, Tesla 323.20 now again. So here we go.
Option chain volatility is a little too expensive. Steve, didn't they? I thought they said that they were cutting their bond buying in half.
They were, yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Flanagan asked. I was answering towards this question. I remember they said that they are going to cut in half to 200. It's still 200 billion a quarter.
Wow, we've seen a serious pop there in the.
There you go. SPY just popped up back above 600 through the VWAP. Q's popping above it, but that's where it seems to not. There, come on. It's battling right at it, that 531.75 area. There it goes. Q's popping a little bit there. Q's popping.
I like this move. There you go. Ticks up 300.
There goes the Qs, 532.14. Now it's running. Here it goes. There it goes. Let's see. Can it break the 532.78 level? Then we'll run. Tried. That was a pretty good try by the Bulls there.
Yeah. I don't think it's done, though.
No. I'm just saying that was they made a real nice little attempt there to get that to push through, squeeze some people out.
Cero, C-E-R-O, has been halted here.
COO?
C-E-R-O. Cero Therapeutics. Up 107%. Look at that. 14 million shares. Woo.
Average 500,000 normally. Was as high as 1661 here. That structure usually means we're going to test this 16 and change again. Man, that halted right at a weird spot. Well, no, you're ahead of it.
Several explosions have been heard in the east, north of Iran's Isfahan semi-official Mehr news agency now. So bombs are being dropped now in Tehran again.
Yeah, like I said, it just seemed that that was what was. Yeah, Thursday, holiday, Friday, triple witching. It gets crazy. And Fed tomorrow there, Mr. Flanagan. So we've got like the quadruple craziness. I'm with you there. Everybody's just sort of on edge. This Zero is interesting. I might put something in on this. Not a lot going on here. Bitcoin held up a little bit, 105,350. So we're still staying right in the same.
All right, I'll go with you on Cero, but I'll put a limit order in.
Yeah, I'm gonna try it. We'll see. I'm not gonna do a big one, but one of those fun ones.
Yeah, we'll keep our eye on Cero. U.S. Trump administration says they're to consider crackdown on pharma ads. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna go in for a little one here. Trying to get it at 1430, so that means it would open up. Again, I'll be looking for this just to run to 1650. There it goes.
1525 on the open.
Did I get in? No, I didn't get in. I'm canceling my order. I did not get in. I said it. 16. Watch for it to run to. There it goes. 16. It just hit 15.99. Hit 16 actually for the ticker.
All right, I'm in.
That's moving to the downside. Here it
I'm
goes.
in 15,
Here it goes. Here it goes. Here it
20.
goes.
Trade. Yeah.
Uh-oh. Whoa.
26.
I unfortunately did not get in. There it goes. Come on, baby. It's trying. It's trying to squeeze right now. Give it the run of 1690 here. Here it goes. 1560, 1560. Here it goes, Steve. 1599, 1621. Have that sell order in at that 16, at like 17, if you think that's where it goes. Oh, come on. Got to 1632. That's a good candle right there.
Mm-hmm.
Still showing a strong trend direction and strong bullish divergence.
Yeah, but there's probably some insiders trying to sell too up there.
Yeah, oh yeah. There's all those people that bought on this wick here at 7 a.m. They're dumping. That's why that's 16.
Hmm.
Still get some sell pressure here. Huh. I see reaction to Trump's administration where you said about they consider the crackdown on farmer ads. Goodbye cable TV. That's pretty true. There, it's all the ads you see on cable TV.
Warner Brothers will get hurt pretty hard too, I think.
Yeah.
Comcast will get hurt pretty hard. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Those are the ones. Keep an eye. Having trouble breaking across 15 here. Tick has gone nicely positive to 138, 188. Advanced declines come back to down about another 500. It was at 2,800, now down to 21. So that's a good sign. VIX has come down less than 20 here at 1985. Gold and Bitcoin sort of sitting where they were when we opened up the cash market here a half hour ago. Not a heck going on.
Hmm.
Okay, Steve, how do you think we finish up here on the day? You think we're going to grind up, or you think that?
I think we grind up. I'm long. I'm long the Qs, right? I'm long Tesla, so I like it here.
Okay, awesome. Well, for Quasar Markets Live, everybody have a fantastic day, and we will see you tomorrow morning.